Another question we get a lot is the transition from moving babies or toddlers into their own room. Because, even with parents just have the crib, in the parent in their room and moving them
Yeah.
into their own room can be a huge transition. So what are some tips you have? Because I know some parents have a hard time keeping their kids in the room or moving them in the first place.
So one of the tips, if they're moving just from bassinet sleeping or crib sleeping in the parents' room to their own room, right? So the AAP actually recommends that the child sleep in the parents' room at least for the first 6 months in the own room, not on the same bed. But if you're going to do the move from bassinet crib in the parents' room to the child's room, then I recommend it be a gradual change. So start with naps first. If you can, you can move the crib or bassinet into the child's room. Now it's going to be easier if it's a bassinet first rather than shifting the crib back and forth. I would definitely try to transition during naps first. So have the child nap in their room, and if you need to set up the crib in their nursery and you have a pack and play, then you can also use the pack and play at night in the parents' room while you're doing these gradual transitions. So, yeah, start with naps for a few days and then you can work to transitioning them for night sleep. When you're doing the transition for night sleep, you may want to just stay in the room until they fall asleep, or maybe even just set up like a cot or something in the bedroom so the parent can sleep there for a night or two, just to make sure that the child is okay. Now, if you have a monitor system, which a lot of parents do, then you technically don't have to sleep there. You can just monitor the baby and just see if they're doing okay. And that works as well for a lot of people. What I like to recommend is to have a piece of the parent's smell in the crib. So if they have a bed sheet or a crib sheet that the parent can sleep with for 1 or 2 nights and then put it on the crib. So that way the crib sheet has the parent's smell. So that smell is kind of nurturing and soothing for the baby because they sense the parent's smell in the crib, even though the parent physically isn't in the room.
What would you do for like an older child? Let's say, they whether they had their own room for a while or ended up, sleeping in the parents' room for a while,
Yeah.
and they kind of keep coming back in. How do you get them comfortable and transition so they're staying in their own room each night?
As the child gets older, it does get trickier, and there are different methods that you can start with. One of the first ones I would probably do is probably it's called the chair method. So just having you sit in the child's room until they fall asleep, and then gradually back off. So take a few steps, move the chair if you're using an actual chair. If not, then just take a few steps back towards the door until the child has fallen asleep in their own room. Another way to do it is you place the child in their bedroom, leave the door open, tell them that, oh, mommy's going to go get some water. I'll be right back. And then within like a few seconds, you go right back into their room and they feel secure that, oh, mommy's coming right back. And they actually trust you that mommy's coming back. And trust is a big factor when it comes to sleep training and anything in parenting, right? Because you want the child to trust you. Another thing is that you want to make sure that you spend a lot of one on one quality time throughout the day with your child so they feel that sense of security. Any kind of 10-15 minutes of one on one time, especially if you have more than one child, just give it to that one child and they'll get a sense of security from you that it's okay, and things will just happen, and that I'm safe in my home, I'm safe in my room, and I'm safe with my parents. Sometimes kids just need that extra security.
Mhm. Love that. That's a great tip. And I mean, I saw your Instagram and you cover so many different topics regarding sleep, and there's so many different factors. But for parents listening, I know it can be a very, overwhelming topic because sometimes they don't know where to start, especially those listening that are pregnant right now, hearing about, lack of sleep. So what's a tip that you think every parent should know about sleep, or some advice you like to tell your clients?
So, one thing that I always tell my clients is that sleep is a necessity. It's a necessity for you as parents, as well as your child to development and grow appropriately. So, and then another thing that parents always say is like, I don't want my child to cry. Well, I tell them crying is inevitable. Sleep doesn't have to be, right? You know your child is going to cry. It's going to happen, whether they're sleepy, whether they're hungry, whether they're tired. But you feeling tired and sleepless at night doesn't have to be. There's things we can do to change that, because sleep has a direct impact on our mental health and our capacity to function during the day. So it is essential that we as parents, especially if we're working parents, right? Now, stay at home moms are working as well, because I'm one. So we work, everyone works, but at the same time, we need our sleep at night to function. So if you are getting just broken sleep, even though it totals about 5, 6 hours, if it's broken, you need more sleep. And it's a big necessity to function during the day and care for your family, care for your children, and just care for yourself.
Absolutely. It's kind of that fill your cup before filling everyone else's kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure it's so hard to like do and like make time for yourself to like rest and sleep. But yeah, I think that just really emphasizes what you just said about, you need sleep just as much as your children do, your kids, your babies, and yeah.
Yeah. And going back to routine, I also recommend us like we should have routines as adults, right? We should have a bedtime routine. So for me, I have a bedtime routine. My bedtime routine is after my kids are sleeping, I go to sleep within 2 hours of them sleeping. I have a cup of hot tea. If I'm not having my wine, I limit my wine to one night a week. So, but usually it's a cup of hot tea or hot water, a book, and then I don't use my phone or electronics or any laptop or anything like that an hour before I actually go to bed. So I have my hot tea, my book, I do some skincare routine, and then I'm in bed. So that's my routine.
Yes, I love routines. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I am in the mornings. I never used to be a routine person, and I would be like waking up by the seat of my pants and always being late. And then I started reading books about like routines and waking up early. And now I'm up early. I usually make, yeah, tea in the morning, drink some water, read my book. And yeah, definitely helps kind of like set the tone, like you were saying, starts your day
Yeah.
off and ends your day on like the kind of the right foot.
Yep.
Um, and it kind of, I think, too, allows you to feel like you have some control in the day. Because I'm sure once the day starts and the kids are up, you kind of feel like things are a little out of your control. So I
Oh
think that
yeah.
helps
It's
a lot.
full chaos. It's full chaos.
Yes. So just holding on to that little bit of control that we can find in each day is good.